Pradeep ji, please start.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I welcome all the panelists, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani ji, President ASSOCHAM, Shri Ravi Ahuja ji, Co-Chairman National Council, Head Commercial Business L&T Realty, Shri Anuj Puri ji, Group Chairman NROC Property, Shri Rahul Rai ji, Head Real Estate Investment Fund ICC Prudential AMC, and Mr. Abhishek Kapoor, CEO, Urvankara Limited, and all the friends. आज इस रियल एस्टेट काउंसिल की जो मीटिंग है इसमें आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम इस वेबिनार में जो चर्चा करने वाले हैं, जो इम्पैक्ट ऑन रियल एस्टेट प्रॉपर्टीज एंड द वे फॉरवर्ड, इस चर्चा से बहुत सारी चीजें हमें मंथन से मिलने वाली हैं कि कोविड-19 के बाद रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर पर क्या क्या असर पड़ा है और आने वाले वक्त में इस असर से कब हम उबर पाएंगे, उन सारी चीजों की चर्चा आज इस वेबिनार में जितने भी पैनलिस्ट हैं उनके साथ हम करेंगे। कुछ चीजें हैं ऐसी जो मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहता हूं। आज जो रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर है उसका देश की जो जीडीपी है उसमें बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, सेकंड लार्जेस्ट जॉब जनरेटर है, और कोविड-19 के कारण जो सबसे बड़ा सफरर है वो भी आज रियल एस्टेट है। तो हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि जो सुझाव या मेरे द्वारा या जो पैनलिस्ट के द्वारा दिए जाएं, गवर्नमेंट उन सुझावों पर गौर करे। पहला सुझाव कि रियल एस्टेट पिछले 2-3 साल से लिक्विडिटी के एक कैश क्रंच से काफी ज्यादा गुजर रहा है। पीछे एनबीएफसी का एक काफी बड़ा चैप्टर रहा। अब सिचुएशन ऐसी हो गई कि जो लिक्विडिटी के बिना जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उनका आगे रन कर पाना बड़ा एक चैलेंजिंग चीज है। तो जो गवर्नमेंट है, मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि कोई ऐसे फंड या एक लिक्विडिटी इन्फ्यूज करें फॉर रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर, जिससे इसको चलाने में आसानी हो और देश में एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन भी हो पाए और एक जो टैक्स का जो कलेक्शन जो काफी जो इंडस्ट्रीज इस रियल एस्टेट के थ्रू चलती हैं उनसे भी हो पाए। दूसरा, जो जीएसटी है वो रियल एस्टेट के अंदर अक्रॉस द बोर्ड अगले 6 महीने के लिए लगभग 50% कट डाउन करनी बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है और पूरे फिस्कल ईयर के लिए कम से कम 25% का कट डाउन इमीडिएट रिक्वायर्ड है। अगर ऐसा होगा तो मुझे लगता है हमें रियल एस्टेट को थोड़ी मदद मिलेगी। और अगले 1 साल के लिए अगर स्टैम्प ड्यूटी को कट डाउन कर दिया जाए या जीरो कर दिया जाए तो मुझे लगता है कि आज जो लोग रियल एस्टेट खरीदने में हेजिटेट कर रहे हैं या आने वाले टाइम में जो सेल्स हो सकती है उसके अंदर एक बहुत बड़ी मदद मिल सकती है। तो जो स्टैम्प ड्यूटी है उसको जीरो पर लाना बहुत जरूरी है नए लोगों को एनकरेज करने के लिए। और जो हाउसिंग फॉर ऑल बाय 2022 जो मोदी जी का जो मिशन है उसको सक्सेस करने के लिए, क्योंकि उसमें 2 साल रह गए हैं और हर परिवार को एक घर देना उनकी बेस थीम है, ऐसे में उन लोगों को भी एनकरेज करना कि ज्यादा लोग घर खरीद सकें, वो एक इसे एसेंशियल नीड माने। जैसा कि अभी कोविड-19 में लोगों ने एक चीज और महसूस की है कि घर जो है वो एक ज्यादा जरूरी चीज है, क्योंकि मैंने पीछे देखा अक्सर कि यील्ड कम रहती है, इस वजह से लोग रेंटल हाउसिंग को प्रेफर करते थे और अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट को अदर देन एसेट क्लास में लगाते थे क्योंकि रिटर्न वहां पे ज्यादा है। लेकिन इस कोरोना के बाद लोगों के माइंडसेट एक चीज के लिए जरूर बने हैं कि अपना घर जरूर होना चाहिए, चाहे छोटा हो या बड़ा हो, लेकिन एक घर कम से कम एटलीस्ट जरूर होना चाहिए। एक्सटेंशन ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स वो जरूरी है, क्योंकि जैसा अभी डिस्कशन में भी है, काफी वेबिनार्स में, कि आज रियल एस्टेट प्रोजेक्ट को दोबारा से उसी पेस में लाने में लगभग 6 महीने का टाइम एटलीस्ट लगने वाला है। और आप ये मान के चलिए कि सारी चीजों को, चाहे लिक्विडिटी है, चाहे उसको फुल फेस में कंस्ट्रक्शन है, जो कस्टमर है उनकी कलेक्शंस हैं, उनको आने में एक टाइम लगेगा। तो लगभग 1 साल का एक्सटेंशन जो है मेरे हिसाब से कम हमें देना चाहिए, जिससे हम इस मंदी के दौर से उबर पाए। एक चीज और जो मैंने ऑब्जर्व की है पिछले 3-4 सालों से, कि सप्लाई साइड और डिमांड साइड, दोनों साइड में डिसेप्शन है। सप्लाई साइड में डिसेप्शन किस चीज का है, कि राइट साइज, राइट लोकेशन, राइट प्राइस, राइट डेवलपर अगर है तो सप्लाई कम है, डिमांड ज्यादा है। वैसे वर्सा अगर डेवलपर के ऊपर ट्रस्ट नहीं कर पा रहा है जो कस्टमर है, या साइज राइट नहीं है, लोकेशन राइट नहीं है, या प्राइस राइट नहीं है, तो जो अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री है वो भी काफी ज्यादा इस दौरान, यानी अगर वो इंक्रीज भी नहीं हुई है तो उसका जो बर्डन है उन डेवलपर्स के ऊपर इतना ज्यादा है कि वो उसको कैरी करने में बड़ा ट्रबलमेटिक महसूस कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि इन चीजों पे भी जो डेवलपर्स हैं, जितने भी जो भी इस वेबिनार के थ्रू अगर हमें सुन रहे हैं, तो कुछ चीजें, स्ट्रेटेजी आने वाले टाइम में हमें चेंज करनी पड़ेगी। अभी तक एक माइंडसेट रहता था कि एनबीएफसी से फंड लिया, लैंड ऑन किया, फिर अपने प्रोजेक्ट को लॉन्च किया। मुझे लगता है शायद इसमें बदलाव की जरूरत है। ज्यादा बेहतर होगा कि किसी लॉन्ग टर्म इक्विटी पार्टनर को फर्म में लाएं और अपने डेट के बोझ को कम करें, जिससे अगर किसी भी ऐसी प्रॉब्लम को हम फेस करते हैं तो जो हमारा इक्विटी पार्टनर है, चाहे हम उसको थोड़ा प्रॉफिट शेयर करें, लेकिन एक लॉन्ग टर्म वे में चल पाए। इसके अलावा जो कोलैबोरेशन मॉडल है वो भी इसमें एक बड़ी रोल प्ले कर सकता है, जिसमें इक्विटी होल्डर, लैंड ओनर और जो डेवलपर है वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर की तरह काम करे। तो मुझे लगता है कि इसके अंदर उसके सर्वाइवल के चांसेस ज्यादा बढ़ेंगे। और आजकल होम लोन जो रेट है वो ऑलरेडी कुछ कम हुए हैं, आने वाले टाइम में मुझे लगता है शायद और भी डाउन होंगे। तो ऐसे में ज्यादा चांसेस हैं कि लोग अट्रैक्ट हों प्रॉपर्टीज खरीदने के लिए। तो ऐसे में डेवलपर के लिए जो अपॉर्चुनिटी है वो कहीं ना कहीं इंक्रीज होगी। एक तरफ से हम देखें तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत टफ टाइम है, लेकिन कम से कम रिसोर्सेज में ज्यादा से ज्यादा आउटपुट कैसे निकाला जा सकता है, इस टफ टाइम ने हमें जरूर सिखाया है। कुछ नए मॉडल अपने आप इस कोविड-19 की वजह से हम लोगों ने अडॉप्ट कर लिए हैं, जो आज तक हमने सोचे नहीं थे। मिस्टर अनुज यहाँ बैठे हैं, डॉक्टर निरंजन हीरानंदानी जी बैठे हैं। सो ऐसे ऐसे चीजें डेवलप हुई है कि आज जो कस्टमर है, बजाय इसके कि उसको फिजिकल ऑफिस बुलाना पड़े और साइट विजिट्स करानी पड़े, उसकी बजाय टैक्स सेवी बनाने की तरफ ज्यादा हमने महसूस किया है कि लोग उस तरफ ज्यादा जा रहे हैं। तो आने वाले टाइम में हमें जो अपनी टीम है उसके ऊपर टेक्नोलॉजी पे इन्वेस्टमेंट भी करना पड़ेगा, उसको टैक्स सेवी भी बनाना पड़ेगा, और जो हमारा कस्टमर है उसको भी इतना ईज डाउन करना पड़ेगा कि उसको ऐसी जरूरत महसूस ना हो कि वो ऑफिस आए या वो फिजिकली साइट पे जाके विजिट करे। उसे वर्चुअल टूर के माध्यम से हम जितनी भी चीजें हैं वो बता पाएं, जिससे ज्यादा से ज्यादा आउटपुट कम से कम एक्सपेंसेस के अंदर हम उनसे ले पाएं। और कुल मिला के जो बिजनेस है वो आने वाले टाइम में नेचुरली अभी कुछ शॉर्टर टाइम के लिए टफ जरूर है, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि जब कोई भी टफ टाइम निकलता है तो उस टफ टाइम के बाद कुछ ना कुछ बहुत बड़ा बेस्ट निकल के आता है, क्योंकि रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री, इसमें बहुत पोटेंशियल है। इवन अगर हम देखें तो जो लोग अच्छे एक एथिक वे के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, कंप्लायंट वे में काम कर रहे हैं, तो जो फंड्स हैं वो भी उनके लिए अवेलेबल हैं, जो लोग कोलैबोरेट करना चाहते हैं वो भी उनके साथ अवेलेबल हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले टाइम में ऐसे डेवलपर, ऐसी कंपनीज ज्यादा ग्रो करेंगी जो अपने कस्टमर के साथ और अपने जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उनके साथ एक सेम प्लेटफॉर्म बना के एथिक्स के साथ काम करेंगे, तो एक बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस यहाँ जनरेट होगा। आप सब ने मुझे पेशेंसली सुना, इसके लिए आपका धन्यवाद। ओवर टू डॉक्टर निरंजन हीरानंदानी जी।
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to meet all of you, especially those people from the real estate industry and my panel friends, such illustrious people that I'm really very delighted to have all of you over here today. Thank you very much. प्रदीप जी, आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से बोला और मुझे लगता है कि जो मुझे इंडस्ट्री पर्सपेक्टिव देने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी, क्योंकि आपने ये पूरा इंडस्ट्री पर्सपेक्टिव बहुत सही तरह से प्रॉब्लम दिखाया और उसकी सॉल्यूशंस भी काफी अच्छी तरीके से आपने बता दी। तो मेरे अंदाज से ये एक पूरा इंडस्ट्री पर्सपेक्टिव है। आपने ये भी बताया कि कल क्या हो रहा था, आज क्या हो रहा है और आगे क्या होना चाहिए। आपने तीनों बातें सबको बताई है और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इसके लिए कि मेरा काम आपने इजी बना दिया। The situation is threefold. One, there is a holistic picture of the economy. The second is the picture which is relating to the industry specific. And the third is the general economy or the liquidity, which is the earning mechanism of it. These are the three parts which are there. The first part, which is the holistic economy, has fallen from 5%, close to 5% to 1.9%. And if this continues, it's likely to go down to minus. So I think if this lockdown continues beyond the end of the month, then you can see a negative rate of growth in terms of the economy as it stands today. So that's the first major challenge which is coming from the external side. So it's the question of a demand issue, as Pradeep ji correctly put, the question of demand, the question of confidence. These are the two aspects which are from the external side. The other aspect of it is the issue of liquidity. This liquidity crisis was already there in the industry. Since demonetization and subsequent changes which took place, they created a compounding issue. And today, the liquidity crisis is only compounded in view of whatever has happened. And hence, the crisis has actually intensified, and there has been no break in that situation. Two things have been sought to be done. The first is the last mile funding, which we instigated through the finance ministry with 10,000 crores given by the central government, and then a fund created under the SBI caps of 25,000 crores. It has been proposed by us that at least 3 more funds should be created ASAP. One, I believe HDFC is convinced that they could possibly handle it, because we will need much more funding at the last mile situation to get projects completed. Because I do believe that till the projects are kept in the intermediate stage, all the stakeholders of the project, whether they are landowners, whether they are developers, whether they are flat purchasers, whether they are earlier financiers, all these components are hanging in the air. And in order to do it, I think the stress fund which is there needs to be multiplied by 4. I had spoken to Chairman of SBI that the amount should be increased. However, they said it would not be possible for them at this point of time to handle larger funds. So we must encourage various other financial institutions, including
मैं तेरे को 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स की इमेजेस भेज रहा हूँ। बेसिकली क्या है कि ये कंस्ट्रक्शन दिखाते हुए, तो जिस तरीके से कल बनाया था ना एक, वो वैसा मुझे 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स का चाहिए होगा। ठीक है, मैं भेज रहा हूँ तेरे को। ये 800 बाय 800 में बन जाएगा इजीली।
प्रदीप जी, आपका म्यूट करना पड़ेगा। हाँ, थैंक यू। Okay, so the issue is slightly complex, that we do need this last mile funding, and the normal funding route, whichever may be the bank or financial institution, may not be capable of doing it, because a large number of these projects are already into NPA and NCLT, and those cannot be completed if that situation is there. The third point is the fact that normal extension of funding, even for projects which are viable, will need additional funding in which the situation is. There we are in a quandary because NBFCs are in difficulty, banks are not willing to lend because of the lack of confidence in the economy. Hence, we are suggesting that there should be a credit guarantee scheme for the additional funding of 7 lakh crores, which are now lying in reverse repo with the Reserve Bank of India. So that's one suggestion. The other, which Pradeep ji mentioned very clearly, was the fact that we do need a GST cut, not for real estate alone, but for across the board. I believe that last month's collection has come down from 1,10,000 crores to 20,000 crores, and probably less than that in this month. Hence, a GST cut is actually not going to be too much a problem in terms of reduction in collections. It would only be helpful in order to instigate demand when this is there. We've also suggested a stimulus package from ASSOCHAM to the extent of 14 lakh crores. FICCI has suggested 16 lakh crores. However, NITI Aayog has suggested 10 lakh crores. Unfortunately, up till now, it's only 0.7 lakh crores that has been actually given to the poorest of the poor. The sector is the correct thing to give, but we need a long way to go in terms of the fiscal package. So that's the issue on the liquidity crisis, both within the industry as well as the external liquidity issue which is there through the industry. The third part is the question of how the future goes. There, we must give you good examples. There is a company called Aggarwal, which has done, which has a huge base in India, and as one of the few companies in India which have succeeded tremendously well to do good sales even in this lockdown period. And hence, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Anuj Puri here with us today, who could share with us some of these thoughts and processes which will be done. He's not the only one. There are various companies like Godrej Properties that I'm telling you the names which I know about and are publicly released this data. I would apologize for other people who are successful, but I don't know the names. Please share with me so I can show off your names. There is the question of Godrej. There is a question of Tata Housing. Both have used the web, the internet facilities, social media, and used all these things in order to make the sales. So when, as Pradeep ji said very clearly, when the time goes tough, the tough going gets going. So these innovative ideas in terms of it are something that we all need to learn in order to turn the economy, because that's the only way we could possibly face the situation that we are in, because we cannot run away from a situation that has already come. The earlier crisis was government made. This crisis is, I think, God made or Chinese made. I don't know. Between the two, only time will tell, and investigation by Mr. Trump will tell. But the rest of it, really, we have to face the music as has happened. In India, it is a very peculiar thing. Most of the diseases of this kind start from the poor and come to the rich. This time it is from the rich to the poor. It is those who have traveled overseas and brought it to India, and then it has spread over all the things. And being a poverty-laden country, a lot of poor have been done. The last point which I wanted to state was the fact of what is it between Jaan and Jahan. We have to congratulate the Prime Minister of India on the wonderful work done in order to bring in the lockdown at an appropriate time in order to save huge number of lives in such a huge population that we have. So we really compliment him and the team of the government and the states for having done this fantastic thing. But I think it's the reverse is happening now. Any further lockdown is detrimental to the economy of the country. We have got it from various sources that is something which we need to open out irrespective of what happens, because any further lockdown in the manner in which it is continuing is not going to help it, because you're going to get so many people who will die of starvation and nutrition rather than the COVID, because the numbers of COVID will be small, but the people of starvation will be very high. So these are the issues which we have on the table. I am really approaching the other panelists, whom I think will bring us more idea and gyan as to how we can actually counter the market. What will be the issues where they think that we can actually use different methodologies in order to bring about the change in terms of the demand, how to bring about and do sales in spite of the situation where the individual is not able to come to the property and see it. I want them to tell us and share with us the ideas and thoughts which we think, because this lockdown is not going to be a short period of time, and there is a possibility of even a second lockdown if the matter comes up again. God forbid it happens to India, but it has happened in other countries of the world, so there is no reason why we should not now be prepared for such an eventuality. I've learned to live from my house, something which I never did, to the detriment of my wife's satisfaction and happiness. But nevertheless, I am here, and we've been able to effectively do a lot of work. So we have been effective in this situation. But how do we really do more sales, and how do we really counter and get into the business of business is something I'm ready to learn today. So thank you very much, my friends, for being over here today and to be able to discuss these issues threadbare and openly in order to see what we can possibly do. People from the corporate world are here, people from the financial world are here, and people who would make that difference happen over here. So I welcome you all, sirs, and thank you very much for participating in this situation. Thank you and most welcome. Can I request Mr. Ravi Ahuja to please give his inputs today.
Thank you, Dr. Hiranandani. It is always a pleasure, sir, to listen to you, and there's so much to gain. Thank you for being the face of our industry. We are very, very fortunate to have you. Thank you, Pradeep ji. Very well covered, like Dr. Hiranandani mentioned. I have a dual role here. As representative of ASSOCHAM, I would be moderating the session from here. And also, I heard Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani ask those very relevant and valid questions to the rest of the panel. I think they're experts here. But if you just allow me to add, Dr. Hiranandani, to this, if we could also expect from the rest of the panel a perspective of the various stakeholders in our industry, the home buyer himself, and with the kind of scare on job loss and employment issues which we are going to face, I'm sure the home buyer, the priority for them is to conserve cash, is to save money today, and no one's thinking of buying a home. And the relevant point of confidence, and whenever this lockdown opens up and we come back slowly, steadily to normalcy, things are not going to be the same. So just a perspective on that, while everybody must own a home, as work from home has been discussed. From the developer's perspective, we have developers on the panel. The request would be to really come out with certain other suggestions on how unwinding of the debt situation can take place. From 2008, we have seen 1.25 lakh crore debt really reach enormous amounts of 7 lakh crore debt in 2020. That needs to be tackled clearly. The project delays are going to play spoil sport on the cost of the project. And of course, with sales which are stagnant, receivables which are not coming, these will pose newer challenges. The government, of course, we discussed, there are many measures Dr. Hiranandani and Pradeep ji has suggested. I do observe from their discussions that there is huge expectations. We heard 10 lakh crore, etc. From Niti Aayog. But does the government have that kind of headroom is something to be seen, particularly given the fact that the GST collections are demonstrated from 110,000 crore to 23,000 crore that was just conveyed. Also, the government has other avenues of spending like the MSME, the manufacturing sector, but real estate is a big multiplier effect due to the employment generation. In all of this, I would like to just give a couple of thoughts on how I see the positives, because every challenge does bring an opportunities. With stock markets being what they are, with gold prices really shooting up, uh, do we see real estate or residential as an asset class is to be a better investment class with the safety and also the not getting mark to market, which residential real estate asset is a long-term holding? Will that play safer perspective in the minds of the buyers? We've heard about certain revivals in global economies like China, where sales are picking up. We could hear on that. And finally, some of the new asset classes, and I know Anurag is looking at advising some of these, with the kind of situation we have seen in Kota, tens of thousands of students stuck now going back to their states. Student housing, how relevant is that? When a student feels suffocated and stuck at locations like these, doesn't he deserve? And parents would be willing to buy that infrastructure for the students, but there is none at the moment, or there is very limited. Some of the US students, Indian students from US are sent back, and I'm sure our students would want better facilities in the universities and student housing facilities. Work from home for one, and also some of the issues we're facing from layoffs of jobs from Middle East. Will these require expats who are coming back to ask for better quality living, such as co-living facilities? These are some of the pertinent questions that come to my mind. And I would like to just look no far further than the better narrative that comes to my mind by author Mark Manson. He is the biggest advocate of hope. And he mentioned that just because everything appears to be a mess doesn't mean that we all have to be one. So being an optimist, I think today's challenges are certainly looking up as tomorrow's opportunities. I would like to now, rest my case and also further this with the experts on our panel. As a moderator, next invite Mr. Rahul Rai, who's with us. Rahul is the head for real estate investment funds with ICICI Prudential AMC. He heads the management of third-party close-ended funds that invest in real estate projects and pre-leased office assets. Rahul has a commendable 25 years of experience, and the past 16 years have been specialized in Indian real estate. Rahul, may I now invite you to please address.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Ravi, and thanks to ASSOCHAM. And I also look forward to hearing the rest of the esteemed panel members. It's really an honor to be, with all of them. I would say that residential real estate have been going through difficult times. We already, as a sector, we're going through last couple of years of difficult times. This particular situation has added a lot of dose of uncertainty to that. And I think the combination of difficult times and uncertainty are creating fearful situation also as to what will happen, how long will it continue, and going forward, what the future will be. I think that, as Mr. Hiranandani mentioned, I think our government has taken a commendable step in the kind of the lockdown that they introduced early to save everyone's lives. And I think going forward with the gradual lockdown being open, I think we'll realize that, this month or a couple of months were essential kind of a thing to have. And in the long journey of a real estate project or, any company's life, I think it will be a very small duration. So I think that, I think that future will be bright. I think there are a couple of important takeaways, and Pradeep ji, mentioned one of the important them, but I would like to emphasize that again. I think what this lockdown has brought is emphasize the importance of house to people. People have been living in their house. They realize the protection that it affords. They have been able to work from their house, and they have been able to live with their family. So I think the propensity and the demand for houses definitely will increase. It won't be there in the short term, but over a longer period of time, I think more and more people would like to have their own houses. This will be especially true for people who have been living in rented house or people who have been not living in their hometown. So, either they will want to have a house in their hometown or where they stay. So I think that will be a great demand push. The second aspect of, the home buying is the fact that, last few years, we had seen that the real estate demand was gradually moving from hard assets to financial asset. And there was a thought that, there is no need to have a real estate in your portfolio. Financial asset provides you the security and the growth that is required because it's an extremely liquid kind of a thing also. But I think it's the very same liquidity which is creating the kind of volatility that we have been seeing in the financial markets. And I think what the last 2-3 months would have brought the importance to the people is the importance to have some diversification in the form of real estate. I think over a longer period of time, real estate is also a store of value and it grows in value. So we will once again see a shift of people expecting to you put some of their assets in the real estate. So I think given the inherent potential of the India, the number of families and the crowd that we have and the young population that we have, and this change in fundamental thinking will certainly augur well for the real estate. In the short to medium term, however, it will be a difficult time, whether it will be 6 to 9 months or a bit longer. I think we'll see. I'm speaking to a lot of these real estate companies, and I think current time what they are doing is to use this time efficiently. They are refocusing their efforts on couple of things. One is, I believe most of them are re-looking at the design of their houses. One of the important thing which is coming out is the efficiency of this house in terms of meeting the requirement of various family members, in terms of meeting the requirement of this work from home phenomena, which looks like, will continue over a longer period of time, not permanently, not every day, but the importance of being able to work from home, I think is going to be there, and people are going to more and more demand houses which are designed around that. The second aspect of the design, which I think developers are focused on these days, is the kind of common amenities that are provided in their housing complexes. I think this lockdown in the building has brought to them the importance of being able to have something for the kids in their family, for the senior people in their family, for themselves, or being able to, at least move around in their own complex. So I think the kind of facilities that going forward will be designed to be provided in the various housing complexes, I think will be varied and will increase. The third thing, however, what I see is the focus on the budgets. The budgets going forward of the people is going to be under pressure. The economy is going to take some time to come back, and because of that, the people will have a budget pressure. So I think people will have to also focus on the kind of prices, overall value of the houses that they are willing to design and sell. I believe that there are a lot of companies which are efficient enough. They will adapt to this requirement and they will reorient themselves and meet this changing requirement. We have been seeing a wave of consolidation in the industry. I think this will further push it. But there are a lot of companies which, even in this difficult environment, are gearing up to meet those challenges, are gearing up to meet the requirement of being able to sell in this environment also. And I think we as a financiers are sort of gearing up to, meeting the new requirement of the real estate developers. The requirement will be for a longer term kind of a money, for a equity type of money. And I think, as I mentioned, people will want to now diversify some investment into real estate. We are ultimately a channelizer of money. And I think that, over a period of time, we will be able to provide that kind of a money to the real estate developers also. So to summarize, I think we are going through a difficult times, but in the continuum of time, I think it's going to be relatively shorter period. Longer term, I think this will in fact improve the industry, and there will be real estate companies which will thrive out of it. So thank you very much. Look forward to rest of the discussion. Thanks, Ravi.
Ravi, you are on mute.
Thank you, Rahul, for the insights, and particularly on the funding and the investment side. I would like to now invite Mr. Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek is the Chief Operating Officer of the residential business at Puravankara Limited. He brings along a rich experience of 22 years, and he's been with companies like Raymond Real Estate, Radius, Keystone. He's also worked with consultant companies who are leaders in their right, CBRE, and also developers, K-Raja Constructions. Abhishek, thank you for joining us. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Ravi, and thank you to ASSOCHAM to have me on this panel. And I'm glad to be here with all of you to kind of learn from all of you as well. So, while I kind of really appreciate the effort that the government is doing in terms of saving lives in last couple of months. I think the direction has changed towards ensuring sustainability of these lives as we go forward. Industry leaders who are there, especially Mr. Niranjan Hirandani, he's been at the forefront of this whole representation to the government towards various initiatives that are required, that the sector requires as a support. And I think there is a lot of work that is happening in that space. While we are all talking about the issues and the challenges that are there, I'll start with giving a little small view of what's happening in China. And that gives us a little direction of what can we expect as we go forward, and what is it that is expected of us to ensure that we survive in this disruptive environment. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, if you look at the March numbers of China, the numbers of sales that they did, volumes they did, value that they did was 3 times the month of Feb. I understand that April has been even better from the reports that I have seen. So basically, the market will bounce back as things stabilize. That is clear. The second trend that has happened clearly in China is that the way customer is expecting to experience the product, the way the customer is looking at the product, and the developers are pitching the product has gone through a serious evolution. Given this quick background, I think what I want to focus on is what's happening in India. I was reading a piece of article this morning, and it says government has identified 45,000 hectares for manufacturing across this country, which basically means that there is significant, and we keep reading various news articles and from our network and people that we speak to, there are a whole lot of industries which are relooking at their sourcing strategy across the world. China has been the biggest manufacturing hub. After this whole episode of the pandemic, all organizations across the world are looking at an alternate. There is no other demographically available alternate other than India. We are the second largest nation in the world. We have the cheapest labor. My view is there is a huge opportunity here for the Indian government and Indian economy. And I think the world is looking at us. As long as we make some serious structural reforms to support that process, to ensure that that business comes to us. Of course, there are 5 other countries which are pitching for the same business. It's not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. But we need to make sure we present ourselves, put our best foot forward in terms of reforms. So having said that, and my view is that the government is looking at this whole the real estate space and the overall global situation in a very, very positive and proactive manner. The number of meetings that are happening with the government and the amount of initiative they are taking is phenomenal, and we are hoping that we will have some announcements very soon. While there are specific requests for the sector, I think what we need to also look at is internally, what is it that we need to do? What is it as a real estate residential developer we need to do to ensure we mitigate the challenges that we are facing? Some of those points have been discussed, but let me give you a quick context of the way we are looking at this whole thing. First thing is, this experience has taught us that home is the only safest place that you have. Having a home is extremely important. Work from home is going to be the way forward and new norm. That work from home concept is going to change the way people look at real estate, residential real estate specifically. The second part has been mentioned, I think Rahul mentioned earlier, investments. If you look at across all asset classes. Today, you will look at real estate. We are not looking at it as an investment, but place where your principal is definitely safeguarded, and definitely you have an upside as you go along. The moment people look at it in that context, they will look at, instead of investing in markets where there is no security of principal, you have a hard asset over life, you know it will appreciate, and therefore people are going to look at real estate for sure. The third piece is that there is a low interest rate regime, which my view is it's going to stay for some time. And if it's going to continue to stay for some time, this is the best time for end users to buy, and end users are going to look at it in that view. The fourth point is that across the world, NRIs are definitely going to look at having a safety in India. And I think that is definitely a market that all of us should explore as an opportunity to bring the product to those NRI customers who are looking at keeping that security at home. With these 3 or 4 basic views about how customers are looking at this, what is it that we need to do? I think customers are looking at, and 1 or 2 those points were again discussed, is what is the security? There are uncertainties in the near term, in the medium term. We need to support the customer to ensure that they can take decision even in those uncertain times, and we give them that time horizon and the schemes that can give them that comfort that even if there is a challenge, we will be able to help them to pass through it. And there are various ways of doing it, and hence support the customer in making their buying decision. I think some of the critical aspects which will change, and I'll quickly touch on these, is in terms of product, it was brought about, is that the way people will experience the product. So the way we live, the way we entertain, and the way we work, all 3 have changed forever. And the product is going to be changing to be able to meet that requirement. The way we access our homes, how health has become the highest priority, how we experience or socialize within the place where we live, all of that is going to change. The expectations are going to change, and more number of projects will be required to cater to all of these parameters of how the customer is going to experience the place. I think consolidation is definitely there. Each situation is going to be unique, and we need to look at our situations. Of course, branded developers will do much better. They'll become much larger. But everybody who is out there in the market should look at their unique situation differently. And my suggestion would be that your situation could have different solutions. There is no one solution for everybody, and one must look internally at their strengths and then decide which solution, and a mix of different solutions will support you to tide through this. Once we are on the other side, which I believe we will be in next 1 year or at most maybe 1.5 years from now, I think the situation will change, and then we can come back to the to the normal way of doing business. But till such time, we need to take all the corrective measures to ensure that we apply whatever solution that is required. This will come from the fact that you have complete clarity of what is your challenge, what is it that you need to do in next 6 months to get over it. I think broadly, I would end with the fact that every crisis creates an opportunity. I think there is an opportunity here to reboot your entire system. You look at your entire business and do it completely differently. Technology is the biggest takeaway that I have from last 2 months. I think technology is going to be applicable across functions. It's not just digital marketing or digital sales or the way the customer is going to take their buying decision, but across functions of the organization, one will have to look at how we can apply technology to enhance the efficiency of the business. That I'd like to thank you, and I think Anuj, from here I'll pass it on to Anuj.
Sure. Anuj, no one needs introduction to you, but still, please allow me a minute. Mr. Anuj Puri is the chairman and founder of Anarock, a trusted advisor to developers, occupiers, investors. He was instrumental to lead an organization called JLL to heights of success. He set up Anarock In 2017, under his leadership, Anuj has added retail, commercial, hospitality, investment banking, land, strategic consulting, warehousing, logistics, and is now a significant national and global player. Anuj, thank you. You have the ground pulse. You are our key address speaker. Over to you, Anuj. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ravi. It's a delight to be here. And, you know, honestly, I could have heard all the four speakers speak for the next 1 hour. I think जैसे प्रदीप जी ने रवि शुरू किया, I think those points were fantastic. I hope it is well recorded because I think 5-7 मिनट के अंदर उन्होंने पूरा crux कर दिया कि you know what is the pain points and what is it that is required. And you know, I am a big fan of Dr. Hiranandani. I can sit for hours and continue to listen to what he has because it just makes so much more meaning in there. And you know, my co-panelist, I think majority of the points have really been covered, Ravi. But what I will say is, perhaps in sort of 4 different parts, I'll cut it out. You know, the first part is we did this consumer survey of 20,000 home buyers who we said is were likely to buy it over the next 60 days. With 2,000 sales guys, we said is go back to your 10 top home buyers who you thought were going to buy over the next 60 days and fill this up. It came out in 2 parts. One part was, Ravi, that a lot of these home buyers said is, how dare you even call us? I mean, don't you know this is life and death? Don't even call up. The other part was, you know, extremely positive. Abhishek and Rahul covered on some of these points, but it was just really interesting to hear their point of view. I mean, clearly they said is we had invested in financial products, the stock market's gone, the mutual fund's gone. You know, my parents have been saying is that I should buy a house. My spouse has been saying it. In times like these, you know, there creates a huge amount of nervousness. 2 cities, Abhishek, you will be interested in knowing it, Bangalore and Pune, where the building societies differentiated between the tenant and the flat owner. It was just very, very interesting that, you know, the flat owner, because the building society they form and it is there, this thing, they differentiated. So it had different rules for the tenant that you can't do this, you can't do that, because, you know, that tenant's landlord was perhaps sitting overseas somewhere. So he had no involvement in that, and they put different rules for them versus for themselves. Pretty interesting when you do these surveys, and these guys clearly said is we want to be a home buyer in that. Many others said is that you know, now that we have lived in for 6 weeks, you know, we look at it, you know, there are like 25 different cracks in the house. We want to move to a better quality house. Clearly work from home, I think, is the product will go through redesigning. Even if it's a 1 bedroom, I think it'll be probably 1.5 bedroom, or 2 will become 2.5. People would need a little bit of flexibility of the furniture of the house to be able to really utilize that much better. I do think is that the sizes will go up a little bit. It was very clear that these guys said is that whilst we are looking to buy, but after this all opens, we want to see that the construction of the site has started or not. If it hasn't really started, then we think is that the developer is in some financial problem. So, you know, it becomes paramount for the developers as and when they can start. Before the panel discussion, you know, we were speaking with Pradeep ji and Dr. Hiranandani, and they were saying is that the issue is not us being able to start. The issue is that the labor is not available today. But I mean, this is what the home buyer is going to be looking at. And 2 other points that I'll add before I touch on the other issues. I think Abhishek mentioned on the home loans. I mean, Ravi, at 7.5%, it's 14-year low. The last.
Anuj, I think you've gone on mute by mistake.
We can't hear you.
Oh. No, can't hear you. Rohit, are you here to help Anuj?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Better.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was just saying is that my apology for that. In 14 years, it's the lowest that we've had on the interest rates. And, again, I think Rahul or Abhishek touched on this NRI. I mean, Godrej has gone on record in the last quarter, significant sales that came in. I mean, they're a listed company, and Dr. Hinandani also mentioned about them. They have said is significant sales came from NRIs. Maybe it is because of the weakening rupee. Maybe it is, Ravi, because in the US and in the UK, there is nervousness that they may lose jobs. And these are people who had got relocated there in the last 4 or 5 years. These are not people who are being living in there, the first generation or the second generation. These are only who have gone there, and they just feel as it'll be probably time for us to come back. And that's where we're starting to see the NRI community come back. I think Dr. Hinandani mentioned about the sale, and I want to take 2-3 minutes to just explain what that really is, because a lot of viewers must be, or listeners must be wondering, is that how can a sale actually happen without seeing the product? And I want to define it into 2 different parts. One is, we call it as VDNB. It's visit done, not booked. So these are clients, Ravi, these are customers who had come in 5, 6, 7 times to a particular site, but had not booked it. Now that they are getting a call with some attractive proposition, they are wanting to do the transaction. And these are actual transactions where they have given 9.99%. Because they get a good deal at this moment in time, an attractive proposition, and they've seen it. And also, by the way, they've been sitting at home, and the husband or the wife is like really saying is, I need to buy this house now. In there, we missed it 6-7 months ago. This is a great time, great proposition, great home loan rate of interest, and hence they're going in. The second one is, it's like an EOI. So EOI is only like pay us 75,000 or 1 lakh rupee at this moment in time. After 30 days of lockdown opening up, you can come and visit the site, and if you want to cancel within that, no questions asked, your money will be paid back. It'll be through full refund. So I would say these are hot leads or warm leads. They're not real sales that are happening, and they also want a price protection. In this, Ravi is saying is that when the lockdown opens, the price will not be lower than what this is, because that is what their attraction is. If anything, the price will only go up. And that's where you're able to collect on each of these projects 200, 300, 400 EOIs, which at best may be 40-50% converted. Not 100% of that will get converted, but 40-50% of that is likely to get converted. And that is how these 2 sales, these 2 buckets are really happening. And I completely agree with Dr. Hinandani that Godrej is pushing that agenda, Tata's is pushing that agenda. If you look at it, they've come up with this 1090 scheme where you pay 10% now and 90% later, which they had never come out with that is, and that is where they're exciting the home buyers to come in. I completely agree with what Pradeep ji said, is that on the funding, there is going to be a huge amount of money that will come in. Pradeep ji, you're so right. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, the amount of inquiries that we've had from the fund. I mean, Rahul is here, Pradeep ji. I mean, there's several of these guys who have also approached Rahul, and it is equity that they're looking at. They're not looking at debt this time. They're doing exactly what you are saying is, Pradeep ji, either at an entity level or at a project level, because they just believe is that this will be absolutely the right time to invest with a quality developer. I mean, I had a call yesterday with a large private equity, and they're like talking about Signature Global to say is, look, it's a great company. We want to look at it. It is interesting that all these funds are looking at this moment in time to say is the pricing is right. If we back the right developer, there will be consolidation opportunities. We can then grow the platform together. So I do want to say on that is, and Niranjan bhai, to your point, I agree. Swami Fund, which is the government-sponsored fund, it's called Swami Fund, SBI Caps. It is doing a fantastic job in there. And also, Dr. Hirandani, it's quite reasonably priced at 15%. It's quite reasonably priced for the last mile funding, and they give you full money right up to the completion, including the registration, everything, without taking into account any sales. If you're able to sell it, that's even better in that. But I think there will be more funds. Exactly what you said is that will be required, because 10-12,000 crores may not be sufficient as we come out of this COVID. Last 2 points I want to touch is Abhishek mentioned about China, and it is very interesting when we got the full data from Capital Economics in China. Before they went into the COVID-19, they used to sell 5,000 apartments a day in the top 30 cities. So till November, that is what it is. Then COVID hit them. Jan, they were zero almost. They did not do it. March data that has come out is they are back to 3,000 homes a day. So they're back to 60%. But Pradeep, going back, when we peel the onion, it is actually government who's really helping them, because they are giving schemes for 6 months, equivalent to exactly what you said, stamp duty, registration, equivalent to the GST, equivalent to the exemption on the interest that is paid for the home loan for a period of time, for a finite period of time. And that's why people are wanting to take advantage of this. And that is what is really kickstarting the demand. I mean, even if you look at the malls, I was wondering, why are people coming out and, going to these malls? Because China has said that the second half on Wednesday is a mall day. So they close to say is, please go out and do consumption in the market. And that is how we're seeing, I mean, Hermes, which is a very luxury premium brand, had an outstanding sale, which they had never ever seen, over 300% that they were able to sell it. So, if the government does participate and does push on the consumption side, I think, there is a lot more energy that can come into various sectors, including the real estate sector. Lastly, I would say is, to all the stakeholders in the real estate, and, that includes people like us as well, is that don't let any crisis go waste. It'll be really wrong if we do not learn from this crisis, Ravi. And if we think is that, we are going to go back to our old ways of doing it, I don't think so. I think the world has changed. I mean, many of the people that we speak with, they're saying it is going to be about psychologists. It's going to be about sociologists. It's going to be about technologists. It's not going to be about traditional economies. So, the way we went into this tunnel, if we think on the other side of the tunnel, we are going to emerge exactly the same as we went into it, it is not going to happen. It's going to be a lot about collaboration. It's going to be a lot about reasonableness. I mean, this is a word that I picked up for the other asset classes, where retailer, mall developer, and the retailer are having a huge argument on the payment of the rent during not only the lockdown period, Ravi, that the mall owner is still okay. Even after the lockdown, how does the rent really start to work? Because people aren't going to throng the mall. So it's going to be about collaboration. It's going to be about reasonableness. It's going to be about different emergence of models. And four things that I would say is that one should really look at it at this moment in time. I think the first one, Pradeep ji said, is delever. I think one of the bane in our industry has been the leverage that has been there, the debt that is there. It's very high debt. I mean, the margins of the developers aren't really there to be able to afford so expensive debt at this moment in time. That really needs to be delevered. Delever means either sell a project, get in somebody else in there. It may be difficult for you to raise an equity at this moment in time, but somehow bring down your debt, because this demon is a demon that even at night, 12 o'clock, still is working. On a Sunday, that demon is still going on, and very expensive debt, I mean, just makes it very difficult to be able to do it. Or you get someone like Rahul to come in, who's a lot more reasonable person to help. The second, or a part of the first one, is the financial discipline. I mean, look at it. The 4 developers who are there, fantastic amount of discipline that they have on their financial balance sheets, and that's where I think someone said is earlier that it is going to be good developers who are going to be able to move forward. The second, I would say, is it is about ethics and governance, and I think Pradeep ji, again, you touched on that. Is that when we did the survey, many of the people said is that we are going to look at it if that developer had delivered a good product earlier, if that developer had delivered it on time, if that developer has any litigations going on with their home buyers in there. So clearly it is going to be ethics, it's going to be governance. The third one, I feel, is it is going to be about technology. I think is without technology, it's not going to happen. One of our large clients, and why we got pushed into that, I mean, Dr. Hirandani, you very kindly referred her name. It was one of the corporate developers who said to us, and it was very interesting. I mean, they called up 2 or 3 days after we locked down, Niranjan bhai, and they said is that this, you have the best digital and tech team with the team that we have here. They said, do it. And we were doing it. By the 5th, 6th, 7th day, again, the calls started to come in. I'm like, what's happening? They said, guys, it is not about the lockdown. At that time, we didn't know we were going to be in this much lockdown. They said, Niranjan bhai, that even after the site opens, I'm going to be very careful of allowing a prospective home buyer to come to my site. What if that home buyer has a virus? He brings it on my site. My sales office is shut. My sales team will have to be quarantined. My construction will get shut with that. So please invest in technology. Please invest in digital. And this is how China is doing at this moment in time, because that's the way that we will be able to take this through. And that's where I really want to close, is that let this crisis not go waste. Ravi, let's make sure that the way we went into the tunnel is not the way that we're thinking we're going to come back, and we're going to start the old style of working. Clean up the balance sheet, get into corporate governance, get into the technology, and bring in more financial prudence and discipline on the balance sheets. I think that goes for all the stakeholders. As I said, it could be contractors, it could be intermediaries, it could be the developers themselves. And I think it's a great opportunity to, at the end of the day, to be able to really consolidate. I do feel is a year later, the 4 of you who are there would actually have done a lot more sales than even the last year, because it will just gravitate to people like yourselves. Those sales will just gravitate towards yourselves.
Sure. Thank you, Anuj. Always a delight to hear you. And just to answer your query, yeah, all this is being recorded, and all the advice, all the suggestions will certainly be put to benefit use of industry by ASSOCHAM. We will circulate the recorded thing. My request to viewers is, of course, please post your questions. We've been receiving them. I would like to next move on to the question and answer session. And we have 15 minutes for that. The first question that came in earlier is, when will real estate hit bottom, and what would be the best time to purchase a house, within the next 1 year, or should we wait? Probably I could reach out to Anuj to answer that.
So Ravi, it depends from developer to developer. It depends from product to product. I think for good developers ready to move in inventory, I would in a heartbeat do a transaction. For good developers, in sustenance, if they have a great proposition, I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. The margins that are there in real estate, and I'm quite independent, so I can speak openly. There aren't those many margins only left in the development business. I mean, Niranjan bhai, I've heard you before as well. The taxes that are being levied, the premium charges, the GST in that. I mean, it's like up to 40% of your cost is really in that taxes. So the margins are very thin. To say is that this is going to be a deep decline on that. It is possible, Ravi, that it is a deep decline. But guys, I will be very, very wary to go with a developer who's doing this deep decline, because that really means the money that you are paying to him is not going for steel and cement, is going to pay his old lender.
Cash flow.
Is absolutely for that. So you have to be just very careful to not get into this dialogue that the market is really going to go down. I think good developers will bring in good propositions, ready to move in inventory. I'm very, very excited. Or sustenance with a great proposition, superb to get in today and do the home buy.
Perfect.
Not as
Thank
an
you.
investor though, Ravi. Not as an investor.
As an end user?
I'm as an end user. Sorry, Niranjan bhai wanted to say.
Niranjan bhai, please.
Niranjan bhai, you're on mute.
Sorry, sir, you're on mute. Rohit, can you help Niranjan bhai, please?
No.
Oh,
You might want to log out and log in again in case it's not happening. Okay.
yeah. He may have to go, he's saying. Okay.
Yeah, he might
Okay.
have.
Yes.
I think I just want to add to what Anuj said. We have been in this, we have been at the bottom, to my mind, for a very, very long time. All developers, I can say, across the country in real estate are pretty much on single-digit margins. In the current environment, my view is there is no way there is going to be any further price correction if people are expecting that. If you are an end user, and even if you are not, you want to simply protect your principal and look at an upside in the medium to long term. To my mind, real estate is the only place where you can today have both a hard asset and an opportunity in the long term, medium term to maybe make some investment returns on it. But to expect that as an end user, if you're an end user, for sure, there can be no better time. But if you're getting a deep discount, I completely agree with you, Anuj, there is such a valid point. I think people just simply miss this such simple thing that they think they've got a great deal and they'll end up buying with somebody or some product which will probably not see light of day for a very, very long time. And it's simply because the developer is trying to manage his cash flows. So, I don't see any price correction to my mind as far as the market's concerned.
Sure. Thanks. We have a question which has come on the funding side, and probably Rahul can take that. This whole debt situation that is built up, what is the mechanism of moving to equity, and what does it take for developers who think that they may have to take a large haircut if they move on that direction? And of course, on the fund side, is the scare of capital erosion really something that you guys are concerned about?
So I look at it two ways. One is, what is going to happen to the projects that are launched now or acquired now going forward, and one is the ongoing projects. I think going forward, it's a very easy kind of an answer to give that yes, people definitely would not want to leverage their balance sheet. They will seek out equity money, even if required at the cost of sharing more profit, or as Mr. Pradeep ji said, collaborating more with either the landowner or the funder. So I think going forward, it's going to be easy. And as Anuj mentioned, there are a lot of people who are willing to take a call that, this is kind of a bottom, and from here is going to be a great kind of a journey going forward. So equity is available for new projects. I think what's going to happen for the ongoing projects is the crux of the question. And there, I think I will divide it between two parts. One is that, last mile kind of situation and the ongoing projects. Again, I think last mile kind of projects will solve it either from taking a priority kind of a debt. Hopefully, government will bring out some kind of additional funding available for those projects. There is some discussion going on that the SBI fund which is there is doing a great job, but it's also got a benefit under insolvency code where it gets a priority over all the other existing lenders. There's a discussion that the industry body is having with the government that you should extend it to the other alternate funds also, which are willing to provide this kind of last mile funding. So I think if the insolvency court situation is, taken care of, because anybody bringing in with the last mile funding will not want the insolvency to start of the company once their funding is given, and then standing in the same line as the previous lender, then it defeats the meaning of the last mile funding. So from that point of view, if some of those regulatory changes are made, I think last mile funding is also very much available for the ongoing projects. I think the ongoing projects midway, around 30% sold, 30% constructed, are going to be a bit more challenging. Either they will have to redesign the rest of the projects and cut their losses, shrink their projects to the existing construction they have done and solve that thing, or alternatively they have to find some equity even at a cost of giving up their margins and so on, but solve the financial situation. So I think is the midway projects which are going to face a difficult situation, which are going to find it more difficult to find a solution. But ultimately I think Anuj used a very good word, reasonableness. If everybody is reasonable and practical, I think one can find a solution. So, I'm positive about it. End of the day, real estate, there are hard assets, is standing there. It's not a cash flow linked business. So it's not like, if you have not earned cash flow for 3 months or 6 months, the asset is going away. It's still there. You negotiate with your lenders, your asset is still there, and you complete the project. So I think we'll have to find different solutions depending on the nature of the project and the stage of the project, but we'll have to solve it together.
I also heard Anuj talk about, there's a great demand, especially on the developer side, who want to attract equity. And when you talk about foreign equity, Anuj, really, how critical is the situation or the fluidity of the situation today in terms of the currency risk? How do these foreign funds look at? Do they want to wait for things to stabilize and normalize, which may be some months down the line, or are they willing to do and cut deals given currency fluctuation risk?
So Ravi, I'll attempt to answer it. Rahul has a lot more deeper knowledge than I have. I'll divide it into two parts, Ravi. One is the private equity whose money is fungible. Wherever they can use the money, they can use it in the US, they can use it in Europe, they can use it in India. I think there we will have challenge to attract that money. We are thinking a lot of that money is going to gravitate towards us, Ravi. The reason is when you speak with these guys, and in depth we've spoken, 4 things they are saying. One, it's become cheaper in our home country, and you always will be attracted. So it's not that this is a India situation that has happened and suddenly things have become cheaper in India. In the US as well, I mean, there is a huge amount of impact that has happened, that has had on the asset level pricing. So first is that it's become cheaper for us in our home countries. Second, Ravi, they have also got damaged. They had also assets. They had hospitality, they had retail, they're closed. They need to recapitalize it. So they're like, boss, hang on, we're also damaged. Let me just get out of my car and see where all we have got damaged, because we need that money as well to be able to recapitalize it. You're going to restart those assets, and hence that is where you will require, or in like Rahul's case, if the developer needs more funding, then instead of doing new funding, he'll first look at making sure that if there is any deficit because the momentum of sale went down, or there was a slight correction in the pricing, he'll need to get that topped up. So that's the second one that they are saying is, guys, we are also damaged. If you are damaged, we are also damaged. Third, very interestingly, Ravi, so this is like a GP LP. So their LPs were largely sovereign funds. Those sovereign funds have been called by their own country to say, please give us the money back, because the country needs that money. So they are going back to the GP and saying as well, actually the unspent money that you have, our government is asking for it. We know under contract you don't need to do it, but our country is asking for that money. They needed this money for the day when they needed, and today is that day that has come in. So actually, can you not spend it and give it back to us in that? And these are very strong relationships. So contractually, they may be right that they don't need to give it. But because, these guys have been investing for 15, 20 years with that particular fund, they respect that relationship. So, that's the third thing, that a lot of the LPs who are sovereign may need it for their respective country to fight COVID-19. And the fourth is they are looking at where the asset pricing in India is going to come in. How does that stack up? So that is for those guys whose money is fungible. Where I was saying to Pradeep ji is, where the money is dedicated to India, that's where the dialogue has started. Is, guys, we want to try and see equity at this moment in time. We think is that debt may be difficult to be able to service. We want with good developers. Again, Rahul can talk about it in more detail. They're also looking at it. Is that, can we actually look at good guys to really go out and partner? Because we think it is a fantastic time at this moment in time to be able to get a partnership going.
Thanks. Rahul, you want to add anything, or we can move to the next question?
I'll be very brief. As Anuj mentioned, I think the overseas fund with a global kind of a focus, I think there will be a pause because of two reasons, what he said. Things are attractive in their own market and they want to see what happens in India. I think people who are focused on India, I think they will be looking at the same thing what we said for the customers. They will be looking at the brand and the credibility of the developers. And wherever they have the comfort that, this is a developer who is trustworthy, credibility, and can also change his business to the new environment of digital sales and so on, I think they will want to partner with him before anybody else partner with him. So I think for those developers, there will be a dialogue which will go on and want to participate with those developers. So I'll put it that.
Sure. Yeah. No, thanks. Very pertinent, Anuj and Rahul. Thanks. I can just take one or two more questions. And Pradeep ji, just very quickly, the government support, there is a question here on that, and I'm a little bit elaborating on that. ये आपके हिसाब से प्रदीप जी, गवर्नमेंट का रवैया हमारे डिमांड्स जो हमारी इंडस्ट्री के जो आस्क्स हैं, इज द गवर्नमेंट शोइंग फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी? निरंजन भाई, आप अब तक काफी गवर्नमेंट के साथ इंटरेक्शन, आपको क्या दिखा रहा है? आर दे शोइंग गुड फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी टू, एंड किस हद तक वो दिखा रहे हैं, किस एक्सटेंट तक वो इसको एक्सेप्ट करेंगे, इंडस्ट्री को सपोर्ट? प्रदीप जी, आप म्यूट पे हो। प्रदीप जी, यू आर ऑन म्यूट। नहीं, प्रदीप जी आप म्यूट पे हो। रोहित, कैन यू हेल्प प्रदीप जी?
यस यस नाउ एक्चुअली देखिए, जितना भी इंस्ट्रक्शन अभी तक जो हाउसिंग मिनिस्ट्री है या जो सेक्रेटरीज हैं उनसे हो रहा है, या इंडस्ट्री के इतने लोगों से भी हो रहा है, एक चीज तो बहुत क्लियरली हम उनसे ले पा रहे हैं कि उनको सिर्फ रियल एस्टेट नहीं संभालना, उनके पास पूरा देश है, तो उनको सबको कुछ ना कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट करना है। इतना इजी नहीं है, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी रियल एस्टेट के लिए वहां कहीं ना कहीं एक नेगेटिव थॉट था इंडस्ट्री में, मिनिस्ट्री में इतना पॉजिटिव नहीं थे हर चीज को लेके कि इमीडिएट कोई पैकेज लाया जाए और रियल एस्टेट को दे दिया जाए। लेकिन रीजन इज दैट कि आज रियल एस्टेट में कई सोर्सेज से, चाहे क्रेडाई, नेरेटको, अलग अलग प्लेटफॉर्म से उनके पास एक आवाज जा रही थी। आज बिफोर कोविड जो ट्रबल से इंडस्ट्री गुजर रही थी, उस वक्त तो शायद ये संभल गई, जो भी जिस भी वे में संभलना था इसे, या ऑलरेडी अभी भी स्ट्रगल कर रही। लेकिन आज अगर इसे नहीं संभाला तो एक बहुत बड़ा डेंट क्रिएट होगा, जो शायद आने वाले काफी टाइम तक नहीं संभल पाएगा। दूसरा एक चीज और कहीं ना कहीं उनको करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, क्योंकि वो ये बात समझ रहे हैं कि जो इंडिया है वो एक बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस हब बन सकता है। आज देखिए 2008 में लीमन ब्रदर्स से पहले की बात करें तो इंडिया में बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटी थी और अचानक पूरा का पूरा वर्ल्ड क्रैश हो गया था। लेकिन ऐसा कोई विजन उस वक्त नहीं हुआ कि लोग यहाँ पे आए, इन्वेस्टमेंट करें और इंडिया ग्रोथ करे और इंडिया की स्टोरी कहीं डिफरेंट लाइन में चलेगी। आज हमारे पास टचवुड की एक विजनरी प्राइम मिनिस्टर है, रिस्क टेकिंग है। आज जब चाइना के लिए एक पूरा वर्ल्ड का जो थॉट प्रोसेस है वो कहीं ना कहीं नेगेटिव हुआ है, तो ऐसे में हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी बनती है कि उन लोगों को इनवाइट करें, उन लोगों के साथ कैसे डील करें या कैसे उन्हें अट्रैक्ट करें कि वो हमारे तक आ जाएं। उसके लिए इस रियल एस्टेट को उन्हें संभालना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ये सबसे बड़ा एसेट क्लास है यहाँ पे, साथ में उन लोगों के लिए बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट कर रहा है। रीजन इज दैट कि बेस्ट जो यील्ड है वो रियल एस्टेट के अंदर ही अवेलेबल है, और किसी भी सेक्टर में आप चले जाइए इतनी हायर जो यील्ड है वो अवेलेबल नहीं है। इवन जो डेट ट्रांजेक्शन है, इवन इक्विटी ट्रांजेक्शन है, और आज जब रेरा आने के बाद तो और ज्यादा सिक्योर हो गए, बिकॉज बिफोर रेरा आफ्टर रेरा में बहुत डिफरेंस है। आज 70% पैसा आपके एस्क्रो अकाउंट में होता है। आज अगर कोई इक्विटी होल्डर अगर आपका है या डेट ट्रांजेक्शन वाला है तो इजीली उस जो मनी है उसको साइपन ऑफ नहीं किया जा सकता या डाइवर्ट नहीं किया जा सकता। तो मुझे लगता है जो माइंडसेट है वो कहीं ना कहीं रियल एस्टेट को लेके थोड़ा सा कंजर्वेशन में जरूर है, लेकिन उनको हेल्प करना ही पड़ेगा, ऑप्शन नहीं है। अगर कोई ऐसी चीजें या नहीं हो पाई तो एक बहुत बड़ा डेंट रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री आने वाले टाइम में देखेगी, और मुझे नहीं लगता कि जो गवर्नमेंट है वो इस चीज के लिए तैयार है, या ऐसा जो इतना बड़ा एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेटर है, जो इतना बड़ा टैक्स कलेक्शन सेंटर है, और या एक पूरा का पूरा जो मैसेज है जो वर्ल्ड वाइड जाएगा वो बहुत नेगेटिव होगा। मुझे लगता है कि शायद जरूर गवर्नमेंट किसी ना किसी पॉजिटिव स्टेप के साथ आपको अगले कुछ टाइम
लेट्स होप स्टिमुलस आ रहा है उसमें रियल एस्टेट के लिए काफी गुडीज होंगे। लेट्स होप फॉर दैट, एंड ऑफ कोर्स आपके एफर्ट्स एंड प्लेटफॉर्म के एफर्ट्स हैं। थैंक यू। अभिषेक, quick question to you. What would be your advice to the home buyer? And someone wants to know particularly about areas in the periphery or tier 3, 4 type of cities. And maybe Anuj can also, each one of us should just give one line advice for the home buyer after Abhishek, please. And then we can put it on for conclusive remarks by Pradeep ji. Thank you.
So my view and my advice to the home buyer is that if you are an end user, this is the right time to buy. All reputed developers, all branded developers, they are all looking at giving out all this flexibility and support to the customers to take their buying decision. This is a low interest rate regime. This is the right time to take a buying decision. That's simply, and people should not expect or look forward to any price correction, because that is not going to happen. If at all there is some, then they should be very wary and look at the credibility and delivery background of the developer. Only if there is a trusted brand, there is a capability there, should they look at buying home with them. So that's just one line.
Thank you. Anuj?
Thank you.
So Ravi, just a quick one. I think most of the people would want to see is their job security after the lockdown opens up, because under the MHA, people could not be let go of. I think they're just going to see that. They're going to see if there are any salary cuts, how the bonuses for last year are going to stack up, or how the incentives are being paid. So my guess is they'll have a little bit of sense first, before starting to go out and buy. And I'm hoping that the government will be able to arrest any sort of large scale downfall on unemployment of the informal sector or the blue collared worker in that, because that has a direct correlation to the affordable housing, and I'm assuming that will be where the government's priority is largely going to be. I think Pradeep ji ne bhi bola ke we are not the only sector that they are looking at this moment in time. They have to look after the entire economy, and I'm quite hopeful that they will first look at that segment and arrest any kind of damage on that. So I think the first 4 or 5 weeks will largely go in people trying to assess where their own employment and the corporate really stacks up. And then, as Abhishek is rightly saying, is that they'll start to move towards credible developers who've got great products, good locations. They may be more attracted towards ready to move in inventory because they've been in sort of bad quality construction or smaller or lesser safer places. And the third is that they will get into these, in the sustenance projects. I think most of the developers will be a little wary to do big launches at this moment in time. They would want to see what the sentiment is over the next few weeks after the lockdown opens up, and then really look at any meaningful sized launch.
Sure. Rahul, your one piece of advice to the home buyer, and then Pradeep ji.
Sure. No, I will, agree totally that, if you are an end user, then definitely you should look at buying a home, maybe a bit after the situation stabilizes. What I also feel is, this particular situation will push the momentum for the tier 3 and tier 4 towns also. Last 15-20 years, what we have seen in real estate is the metro growing and the metro projects thriving. I think the tier 2 and the other tier 3, tier 4 towns did not enjoy that much of a growth in demand. But as we said, the home has become very important, and people maybe not where they are living, but in their hometowns will go on and want to buy their houses. So I think this will give a push to that other towns also, which I think is a very good sign going forward. That's my view.
Thank you, Pradeep ji. Over to you, and then for your conclusive remarks, sir.
तो एक्चुअली आज जो डिस्कशन हम लोगों ने किया वो काफी जितने भी लोग इस वेबिनार में रहे हैं काफी हेल्पफुल रहा होगा, और जितनी भी चीजें आज इससे निकल के आई हैं एसोचैम के प्लेटफॉर्म से कोशिश करके गवर्नमेंट तक पहुंचाएंगे क्या चीज, क्या हम लोगों की थॉट प्रोसेस है, कैसे इस इंडस्ट्री को दोबारा से फिर से उसी पेस में लाया जा सकता है। कुछ चीजें जो काफी चीजें जो मैं भी यहाँ से लेके जा रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ चीजें लाइक आज जैसे अनुज से भी एक क्वेश्चन किया कि व्हाट इज द बेस्ट टाइम टू बाय ए प्रॉपर्टी या हाउस, तो मुझे नेचुरली बात है कि दिस इज द बेस्ट टाइम टू बाय ए प्रॉपर्टी फॉर एंड यूज। कभी भी किसी चीज का एंड नहीं होता है, जस्ट लाइक रियल शेयर मार्केट के अंदर 12,000 निफ्टी से 8,000 निफ्टी आ गई, तो किसी ने मुझसे पूछा सर क्या मुझे बाय कर लेना चाहिए, मैंने कहा अब क्या मेरा मतलब वापस क्या चाहते हैं, 4,000 कितना नीचे चाहते हैं, सो नो एंड, क्योंकि आज जब डेवलपर जो है वो सर्वाइवल मोड में आ गया, तो इस वक्त सबसे बेस्ट रेट है, और बेस्ट की कोई डेफिनेशन नहीं होती है कि किस प्राइस के ऊपर जाके एंड होगा। और जो एनआरआई का जो पॉइंट अनुज ने रेज किया कि वो एक बहुत बड़ी हमारे लिए एक क्लास हो सकती है जो वापस आना चाहे, और इस टाइम पे जो इसमें जो इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं वो हमें दोबारा से दिखाई दे। और जैसा राहुल ने भी कहा कि जो होम लोन रेट है वो काफी ज्यादा डाउन है, ऐसे में जो होम बायर है उसके लिए सबसे ज्यादा अट्रैक्टिव टाइम है कि वो एक घर को खरीदे, और एज ए इक्विटी होल्डर भी जो इक्विटी जो आज लगाना चाहते हैं रियल एस्टेट के अंदर, उनके लिए भी एक राइट टाइम है कि अगर उन्हें राइट डेवलपर मिल रहा है तो उनके लिए भी। और रवि जी और अभिषेक जी ने भी काफी चीजें बहुत अच्छी कही हैं, और लास्ट रिमार्क ये कि जो COVID-19 में द बेस्ट मेडिसिन इज द होम, और वही हम लोग बना रहे हैं, क्योंकि आज गवर्नमेंट है कि स्टे होम और बी सेफ, तो उस दवाई से भी ज्यादा जरूरत है इन घरों की, अपने घर में रहेंगे हम सेफ। थैंक यू एवरीवन, थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छी जो आपसे शेयर हुई। थैंक यू।
Thank you. My personal thanks to everybody on the panel, Anuj, Abhishek, Rahul, ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.